Hello, everyone. I have a special guest who I've known quite a few years now, Dr. Ole Olson. He's a doctor of chiropractic, also a board-certified neuropathy and certified acupuncturist. So if your back's having some problems, you're feeling some numbness, this is the guy to go to. You have a problem with neuropathy? Again, Dr. Ole Olson. He has 3 clinics. You can also find him at ASUTAHealth.org, ASUTAHealth.org. Today, we're going to be talking about neuropathy and Softwave, why they work together. This is very special to my heart because I have many friends and family that have neuropathy. The sad part is they have it. The good news is there's a way to feel better. Thanks so much, Dr. Ole Olson, for being here. Hey, thanks for having me on. It's great catching up with you again. Oh, no, totally. It's been a few years, maybe 3 years. Yeah. Just a few minutes. So talk to us a little about neuropathy and Softwave, not just why they work together, but why you're passionate about neuropathy, and we can go into Softwave. Yeah. So I guess just starting back from where I started, it's kind of strange how I ended up in this neuropathy realm. My dad, years ago, before I was even in school, he'd always had back issues growing up, but he really herniated a disc pretty severely when I was in school still. And he ended up having to go in and get a discectomy because the bulge was so bad. It was pressing on the nerve, and his whole leg had gone numb, lost all feeling. And I remember it, like it was yesterday, sitting at the table and talking to him about it. And he said, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. And he didn't even have the pain side. It was just the numbness side alone. And that just stuck with me. And, I got into practice after I graduated, started our clinic, and we started seeing patients. And I mean, through the years, we'd see people, and, if we could just take the edge off, that was a win, and I always tell people, it doesn't matter how many thousands of patients that you're able to help. It's always those few that you couldn't help that keep you awake at night. The ones I lie there wondering what did we miss, or what else could we have done? And so that's why my passion has always been trying to find those people that aren't getting help, they're not getting answers, and try to not only give them hope, but actually give them some solutions. Mm-hmm. And so we're always looking at how do we bring on, different technology, more technology, advanced technology. What else is out there that we don't have access to yet, that our patients don't have access to yet, and trying to drive that home. And that's kind of what led me to even neuropathy was that backstory with my dad. And when I learned that there was an answer to neuropathy, which I'd always heard there wasn't, mm-hmm. I had to learn more. I immediately went out and started training in it, took several different trainings, advanced trainings and certification, and another certification course, a master's course through another neurology course. I had to learn as much as I possibly could about this condition. Everything. Because, anything I get my hands on. And I've been going to trainings, quarterly for the last 4 years. I've coached for a group. I coach doctors all around the country on how to handle neuropathy cases. So I really just dove all in, and it's been a passion project of mine. And now we're at a place where I'm always trying to figure out how do we reach more people. And thus why we're into 3 different markets now, 3 different clinics in 3 different states. And all of my docs have to go through the same training that I go through. They have to learn the same things. And then we train consistently on things and handling cases, and, these odd cases that don't respond the way we expect them to. How do we change this? How do we modify things? How do we troubleshoot these cases to get these patients the results that they're after? And just to see my staff talk about the stories that they see, it's just amazing. This machine works wonders. I know for a fact. I've actually tried it myself. I had a slip disc years ago, and so I had a lot of numbness in my back that would come periodically. Yeah. And
I tried the machine, and literally within 60 seconds, gone. And that pain has not come back. That machine is unbelievable. I can't even explain what it does. I just basically tell people, just put a Nike emblem on it. It just works, kind of like Mac back in the 80s. It just works.
Yeah.
Has there been some cases that you've seen that have just, you've been amazed, where they've given up and then all of a sudden they were able to walk, or maybe they were able to dodge that getting cut up or amputated?
Yeah. So, I got a couple cases that jump out in my head right now. One case, I mean, when we first brought in the Softwave technology into our clinic, and we had a gentleman. He had actually gone to another doctor who did similar things to us. He'd gone through the whole program. I didn't see any changes. When he came to me, he'd already done some of the things that we do with typical neuropathy patients. And so I'm trying to figure out, okay, what else can we do? So we kind of went a different route with him, did a bunch of things in the clinic that we do differently that the other office wasn't doing, added some stuff he could work on at home that he wasn't doing. And under our care, he was starting to get some feeling back, starting to get some small changes here and there. I mean, this guy was, I believe, around 94 to 98% loss of nerve function. So he had permanent nerve damage, but he was just wanting some improvement. And so, like I say, he had no improvement at the previous clinic. Came to ours. We started doing some other things. We were able to get him a little bit better, a little bit functional. I think he was down in the 80 percentile range, but still just not a great quality of life like we were after. And so we brought in the Softwave technology. I approached him and I said, "Hey, I know you've done a lot of things. You've tried a lot of things. This is something I think would be worth trying. Just from what I've read on this and studied on this, and from talking to other doctors that have been doing things with this device, I think it would be worth trying." So we did a 6-week trial run with him, and I think we were like 3 visits in, and my lead care doc, Dr. Taylor, reached out, and he goes, "You would not believe the change in his feet. I mean, they were purple. I mean, for the past year, we'd been treating this guy and seeing him, and his feet were still pretty purplish." He said, literally after 3 treatments, his feet have normal skin tone again. And, we've got before and after pictures of people, even in one session, where their feet are purple color, dark, just look like they're just not getting circulation at all, to normal skin tone. I mean, within a 5-minute treatment. So that really got me excited for this technology that we dove into. So that was one of them that really jumped out. There was another case, people that right now, what we're seeing now is that people are not only feeling better faster, but they're actually getting better results overall. So we're getting not only the symptomatic relief quicker, but we're also making a more positive impact in terms of changes, in terms of how much those nerves are able to heal in that first period that we treat them. So, people that, we had people come in a walker or at a scooter, and after care, they were using a walker, no longer needed their scooter. People, it's one of those things too, where a lot of times you don't even see half of the miracle of what we're doing, because neuropathy is a progressive degenerative disease. So when you know that this case is only going to get worse. And so a lot of people, they don't see what could have been had they not started care. But we see some of the end stage people that come in because they waited way too long. And so when we see them come in and they've already lost a toe or a foot or even a leg, and they're trying to save their other leg, or they're in a wheelchair and they just don't want to lose function of their hands or whatever it is, we see these end result cases. So when we get people before that and they never get to that point, we already had won. Just stopping the progression is a huge win. But we're able to heal these nerves and actually get them back to not only feeling better, but functioning better and giving them a higher quality of life.
So you mentioned about the toe being cut off. So what I hear you saying, and I know a lot of people that have gone through neuropathy, they normally will get their toe cut off, or whether it be their foot, whatever it may be. I know that you see that a lot in these instances. So what I'm hearing you say is you can help those people still.
Yeah. I mean, like I always tell people in that situation, our primary objective is to stop this progression. Even if we never improved anything, stopping the progression so this doesn't move up that leg or jump to the other leg and have another one, because that's what's going to happen if we don't do something. So that's our primary objective. And then it's to try to, I mean, sometimes there's phantom pains. So we've helped people with phantom pains as well. So there's a lot of things we can do with these people, even if they've already had some medical intervention like that. But like I said, that's the typical progression. Is it starts with a toe. Pretty soon it's half the foot, then it's at the ankle, then it's at the knee. And I mean, research shows once you get to that, lifespan is pretty minimal for people. It's just there's such a high risk of an early death after that. So that's why one of I had a doc, I heard him say, save a limb, save a life. And that's really the motto in our clinic now, because we know how
Wow.
impactful this can be.
So if someone is at that point, their pinky toe, would you recommend them to see you once a month? Is there like I know everybody's different. You can't just put everybody in a box, but for like an average person that you've seen maybe with a pinky toe, would that be maybe a once a month thing or every other week that you'd recommend them to see you? I know it's just everyone's different though.
Yeah, it's definitely more often than once a month. The beginning is the hardest part. So I explain it like a cruise ship. So if we're trying to turn around a cruise ship, right, they've got all this momentum going one direction. As we try to get them to turn around, so we decide today we're going the wrong direction. We got to do something about this. When we start the turn, we're actually still going the wrong direction, right? So we usually say about the first 3 to 4 months or so is really our turning around point. Let's get this ship turned around back to where we started. So that could be anywhere from 1 to 3 times a week. There are some people, because people drive 2, 3, 4 hours away, so there are times where once a month is really all we could see them logistically. So the beauty about our what we do is we've got a lot of powerful stuff that we can use at home. And so even if they can't get in on a consistent basis, there are things they can still do to work on this neuropathy, to stop their progression, to get this thing turned around. It's gonna be a little bit slower process, obviously, when they don't have all the technology and stuff that we have in the clinic to add in and offer them as well. It just makes it a slower process, but it still can be done.
Okay, wow. Because I was just wondering on that. Now, so we're told by most doctors that this is it. You're done. If you have neuropathy, let's just get the sucker cut off and we're good to go and go on with our life. Where's the disconnect? See, what I love about you is you didn't master one thing. You've mastered multiple things, not just the neuropathy, but the acupuncture. I mean, you're board certified. Why is this not being talked about?
I mean, there's a couple of things to dig into on that, but I would say part of it is just they just don't know all the different options out there, right? Like most doctors are in a clinical system and they have very little time to spend with a patient. I mean, they've got a busy schedule. They've got the hospital system, the medical system that says you need to get through X number of patients today and keep things moving. So they really just have to kind of stay in their lane and do what they've been taught to do, which is great for stuff, for emergencies and urgent care and things like that. We need that stuff. The problem is they don't always understand all the other alternative things out there and what can be done for these types of conditions. And so, yeah, when they say there's nothing that can be done, that's true. In terms of medication and surgery, there is no medication that will ever fix neuropathy. They use things like gabapentin and Lyrica, Neurontin, stuff like that. Just really just masks the pain, if anything. If they don't have pain, if it's more of like a numbness or tingling, they basically just tell them, sorry, you just have to live with it. Surgical, they'll put in, they'll cut open their back and put in like a nerve stimulator to try to mask the pain. They'll come in and burn the nerve endings. And this is what really kind of baffles me is some of these doctors believe that nerves can't heal, but yet when they do a nerve ablation, they tell you this will come back because the nerve is going to heal. So it's kind of funny that they don't see the humor in that these nerves can heal, but they say they can't heal. So So yeah, I think that they tell them a partial truth because, like I said, there's no medication or surgery that will fix neuropathy. But that being said, there's lots of things that have shown us that these nerves can heal, and that the things that we're doing is making a positive impact in people's life and getting them a better quality of life and actually helping them to heal.
I love that. There was this book I recently read. It was called Reversing Neuropathy, which is very bold and really good book. Bought both of the books because I have people that family that have neuropathy. But the sad part about it is that most of these people that have neuropathy, it's what they're eating that caused it their entire life. And then when they find out something's going to happen to their foot, all of a sudden something changes where they're willing to no longer maybe go after the Snickers bar.
Yeah.
As quick. Is this insurance? Is insurance cover this, or how does that work?
We do a complimentary benefits check for people once we determine what's going on. That's always the question people ask: does insurance cover this? Well, we have no idea. Every insurance is different, and we have to figure out exactly what's going on first. So, neuropathy, there's lots of different types of neuropathy. There's lots of different things that present as neuropathy as well. So we have to ensure we figure out what exactly is going on with that person, because neuropathy, this type of neuropathy versus a different type of neuropathy versus a plantar fasciitis versus a back issue, there's all different treatment approaches that we would use depending on what is going on. So we have to determine exactly what's going on, get a diagnosis, and then we take that diagnosis and determine what is the best approach to care. And then we have to get the codes for that. And then we go to the insurance company with all that information, and they decide whether they're going to cover it or not. So, we have little control over that side of things, but most of our patients have an out-of-pocket expense that is really not too bad at all. Something they can easily budget into their monthly payment. So, we try to make it as affordable as we can for everybody, because, there's so many people that need this. The unfortunate thing is that with the people that we see into our clinics, we're only able to accept about 40% of the people into our care. So we really tell people, if you have any issues, the sooner the better. You've got to get in there and get checked, because the longer you wait, the harder and harder it is to treat, and the less likely we are to even accept the case.
Wow. And I'm just going to throw a number out there. And the only reason why is because I know that people are wondering about this. Let's say you have 100 people that come in with neuropathy pain. Now, just an average, would you say 50% of those maybe feel better? 60%? 30%? If you were to do an average.
So if 100 people that we accepted into care?
Yes.
Oh, it's much higher than that. So, based on the research on just components of some of the things we do, they've shown 90+% improvement just with individual components. And my approach is never, let's throw this noodle at the wall, see what sticks. I'm going to throw everything I can at this person to give it the most comprehensive approach possible. So we have a much higher success rate. I always tell people, when they ask, well, is this guaranteed? First off, we can't guarantee anything in healthcare. It's actually unethical and illegal to guarantee something. No one knows how someone will respond to care. So the doctor that's going to cut your back open and do surgery, he can't guarantee you it's going to help. He can say, based on the thousands of cases I've done, I think you'll respond well, but he can't guarantee anything. Same thing with us, right? We only accept cases in that we're confident that we're going to be able to help. So if we don't think we can help you, we're not going to accept your case in our clinic. It's as simple as that. So we want to help people. It does nothing for us for someone to start care and not get better. Like, that's what's going to keep me awake at night more than anything. So we want people that are going to succeed in our program. So I tell people there's really only two types of people that don't respond to care in our clinic. The first type are the ones that don't follow the instructions, right? So I'm asking them to do X, Y, Z, and they decide they're only going to do X, or only X and Z, or whatever. They try to create their own program, right? It's like, you're paying me to guide you because I've studied this stuff for years and years and years, and I have thousands of patients under my belt. So I have the experience. That's why you come to me. So follow what I tell you to do so you can get the best outcomes, right? So they need to follow what we tell them to do. And then secondly, if things aren't changing the way they want them to, they need to make sure they check in with us, because a lot of times people they'll start the program and then something happens. And instead of notifying us, they just stop doing something. Well, I can't modify things and change things to improve your situation if you're not letting us know what's going on. So they need to be able to follow the program and then, communicate with us so we can help them troubleshoot any issues they may be having. So that's really the big issue that we see with people, because sometimes they'll start and we tell them, based on where they're at, how long we expect this is going to take. And never do we tell them that they're going to be better in a few weeks. But people start and they're not better in 2 weeks, and then they stop doing things. So they've got to stick with the program. They've got to understand that healing takes time. There's no way to speed up the healing process in the body. We do everything we can to speed it up, but there's only so fast that tissues can heal, and it's a slow process, unfortunately. And then the second type is when there's some sort of underlying metabolic condition. So, for example, I had a patient who was going through the program and he was struggling, and I kept talking to him about how is your therapies coming, your home therapies. He made his office visits. I kept talking to him about his home therapies. He's like, "Yep, I'm doing them religiously." And I'm like, "Well, we'll wait and see the re-exam and see how things are coming along." So we got to the re-exam point, and he had gone from like around 50% loss of nerve function to about 70%. So a pretty significant increase in how he was progressing. So I talked with him, and he was the kind of guy that loved his sweets, and he's bringing stuff like gifts to the staff, and it would always be some sort of sweet treat thing. So I said, you've got to change your diet. I said, this, most of the time we can overcome this on people, but for you, this is blocking your body's ability to heal. And we always talk about nutrition anyway. We're always giving them, ideas, recipes, and, things to look for when they're shopping. And we try to guide them in that process anyway, but not everybody's willing to do the changes that they should do. Right. So after this point, we're 3-4 months in, and he finally agrees. I've been wearing him down. Like, we've got to change something because, we're not getting the results you're after. So he finally makes the change, and we had our next re-exam like 2 months later. So about 6 months in was our second re-exam. And he went from like 70% loss down to 20%. So once we removed that barrier to healing, his body was able to actually start the healing process, and he had a tremendous result in the next couple of months. So I always tell people, if things aren't changing, we're looking at everything from, what we're doing, what we're doing for that patient, what they're doing at home, all those different things we're looking at to see how do we get this person getting the results that they're after.
I like that because it's showing, look, we're doing our end, but I need you to do your part. And so it's basically working together. It's funny not funny because I don't look at neuropathy as a funny situation. It's kind of more of a frustrating situation. People that you love continue to hurt themselves.
Yeah.
Would you say this is something that's kind of passed down because of generation, the same family food passing down to the next family?
Yeah, we tend to blame genetics for a lot of stuff.
Right.
And I can't remember if it was Tony Robbins or who it was, but they said something to the effect of, the only thing you got from your parents was the lack of exercise or, whatever it was. So when we get our habits from our parents, our grandparents, those things are handed down. And so when we see them eating a certain way, maybe not exercising, health's on the back burner, maybe sports is their world, or farming, or, whatever it is. And sometimes they put those other things to the back burner. And so I think that's really the bigger problem, right? People tend to blame their knee. Oh, my grandma had a bad knee and her grandma had a bad knee. And well, what you have is poor mechanics, creating stress on your knee, breaking down the joint faster. That's what you have. It's not your grandma's knee. Now, you may be more prone to that, right? Now, that's something where genetically we may be more prone to something. So we may be more prone to heart disease or diabetes or whatever. But that means if you have that in your family history, that means you need to be that much more diligent about what you do to prevent that. So my family history, lots of heart disease, lots of diabetes. So what do? I watch what I eat. I exercise, religiously. I try to put the right things in my body. I do all these things to try to avoid that situation because I know it's lurking there waiting for me to mess up, right? If I make poor choices, if I don't do the things I need to do, that's going to be there waiting for me. And then now that neuropathy is what my whole focus in life is outside of my family, I know that this is something that these people need to hear, right? And I try to encourage them to just make small changes, right? I don't believe people are going to go home and empty their fridge out and their cupboards and start over from scratch tomorrow. And I would have a hard time doing the same thing. So, but let's just work on one or two things, right? Let's work on this for the next 2 to 3 months. Let's create a new habit. At that point, we'll change another thing or two and we'll start working at that. I mean, I've been doing this more than half of my life. I've been in the health world. I mean, I got into bodybuilding at 18 years of age. I was an athlete all through high school, got into bodybuilding, so I've done all kinds of things, taken supplements and tried different diets and different exercise routines and everything. And I'm still tweaking things and still learning about things that I could change and improve on. Or sometimes there's things where it's like, oh, I used to be really good at this. I kind of let off the gas on that, and I should probably get back after that. So really don't beat yourself up about stuff. And a lot of people just don't even know. They don't realize the things they're putting in their body aren't even food anymore. I just had a conversation. I was doing an interview yesterday out for TV, and they were asking, we started chatting about nutrition, and we started talking about how, the food industry has gotten so good at making things appear to be food that really aren't even food at all. And so people don't realize that all these dyes and sugars and preservatives and all this garbage that they put in their bodies every single day, that have all kinds of consequences that our government is allowing into the food system, which it just baffles me. We know the negative results of these things, but they just keep allowing this stuff in the foods. And so really just getting back to the basics, like you're saying, going back to what did our grandparents, our great grandparents, those sort of like, what were they eating, right? Whole foods. So meats, vegetables, fruits, nuts, flowers were probably ground by hand. They weren't mass produced and
not a lot of process.
Yeah. It's just, so the more we can get back to whole foods, the more we can get away from the processed foods. And I don't care what diet you want to call it. I think all diets have some issues with them. If you want to do keto for a period of time, be my guest. It could probably help you lose some weight and get your blood sugar under control. But is keto a way to live forever? I don't think so. Paleo, whole food, Whole30. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can do, but just getting back to the basics of just eating whole foods is really what we need to do.
It's interesting. It's sad because the government's allowing this to happen. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. The foods, the processed foods. If you look at people in the 70s, the beach, you see the picture of people in the 70s. They look very different than people now. And there was more regulations. I don't understand why we don't have regulations now. It doesn't make sense. It's like what's bad is right, what's wrong is right. It doesn't make sense. I'm not trying to get all political, but it's like if people are dying hand over fist and people are just flopping over, what are we going to do about it? I mean, it's I don't know. I feel like there has to be something that we can do before it's too late. And the sad part about it is people won't do anything until they see someone die in their family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I remember when I've been married to my wife for about 5 years, and when I first met her, everything was organic. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to go spend $300 more in groceries for some organic, and I was from Salinas, California. So it's a salad bowl. And the only reason why I said that though, was because that's where the strawberries mostly come from, and the salad and the celery in that area. And I met the guy who would fly the planes for the pesticides. And he said, I want to let you in on something. I go, what's up? He goes, organic over here is really not organic. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, the organic soil's here and the regular soil's here. So when I fly over the non-organic, the wind blows it over. So that's what stuck in my head. Yeah. But the funny part now is I won't buy anything if it's not organic. And now I'm planting trees in the back of my yard, and that's why I'm doing more of the nature thing. Normally I'll have the show out. And it's funny, I was telling you, all of a sudden there's going to be a rocket or whatever. Now I've got like two big trucks in front of my house. I'm on 2 acres. Okay. And I'm like, really? It's all, duh, 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 duh. I'm like, anyways, I called it out. But my point is that it's interesting because now I'm all about organic. And because I noticed that my body, I'm not able to eat the way I used to eat. If I right now were to go get a hamburger at French fries or at McDonald's, I would be sleeping for 3 hours because I don't have it just, I'm gone.
Yeah.
And it's not like that. It wasn't like that back in the day, before all these pesticides and stuff they're putting in, but there needs to be some type of regulation. I don't know. Do you ever see that changing in our lifetime?
I mean, that's the hard part because, when farming is regulated in, a certain way, and, they're given money to raise certain types of crops, and that leads into our food system. So there's so many things that would have to change. And right now, I mean, it's really, we've seen a lot more organic, a lot more, natural foods and things like that being produced because there is more of a demand. So obviously demand is going to drive a lot of that. But we're also in a tough spot too, where, a family that's struggling to pay their bills, to go and spend $5 for an organic apple when they can get a dozen of them for $5 of regular. We've got to get the organic foods pricing down. We need to have better regulations in terms of, what is organic and what is not, so we don't have the spillover like you're talking about with spraying. Because there's just a lot of issues with the whole industry. And so, we make those decisions every time we purchase something. So, I think the more we try to purchase better options and try to support those types of things, even, you can do that more affordably too, going through co-ops and like the CSAs, the community supported agriculture, things like
Right.
that. You can get better pricing. You can get things that are, more in line with the season. Because right now people just buy, pineapple because they love pineapple. Well, pineapple's not supposed to be eaten year round. It's not always available, where now we have all foods available at all times of the year pretty much. So, that's something else I've looked into is, kind of following the seasonal thing and eating things that are actually in harvest season for normal people, not just because we can ship it into us. So yeah, I think that's probably the best option, is getting closer to your food, understanding where your food comes from. And, I think just volume of food we consume is probably another issue, right? If we didn't have these gigantic plates of food every time we sat down to eat, we could eat healthier foods because it wouldn't cost as much, because we're not trying to fill this ginormous plate. So if we just are more aware, I've gotten to the point, I used to sit down. Thanksgiving used to be my favorite holiday, the big old platter, and I would, go through 2 or 3 platefuls, just eating as much as I could. I can barely finish one plate now, and I'm so stuffed, I just feels gross. So I find myself eating less and less, and I don't know if it's, I think when you eat more whole foods and you get more nutritious foods into you as well, your body gets the nutrition it needs. A lot of times we're eating, like we're constantly trying to teach our kids. A lot of times we're eating because, one, we're dehydrated, so we feel hungry, so you need to drink more good, clean water. And then secondly, because we're bored. And now with technology, people feel like they have to be stimulated all the time. So the moment their phone, battery runs dead, or they don't have their phone in their hand, well, I'm hungry. I better eat something. Or no, they're just bored. Go for a walk, right? Drink a glass of water, go for a walk, get into nature, and then see if you're still hungry after that. And I've found that I can eat 1 meal a day, maybe 2, and that's about it. And I think I do better sometimes when I eat like one big meal and maybe graze a little bit here or there, but I don't eat a whole lot like I used to.
Plus, you're resetting your body if you skip a meal. At least that's what I've heard.
Yeah, I love intermittent fasting. That's fantastic way.
Don't eat breakfast. Have a cup of coffee. I'm a coffee guy, so I'm like,
yeah.
Let me have at least one good cup of coffee, and then eat about 2:00. I'm okay, or 3.
Yeah.
But it's great for your gut, especially. A lot of people don't talk about the second brain.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more. So with neuropathy, is neuropathy mainly only in the feet, or are there other places that like, that can you have neuropathy in your hands?
Oh yeah, you can have neuropathy pretty much anywhere. I mean, typically it's feet. That's the most common
Right.
area. So like most commonly it starts kind of tips of the toes. It kind of works its way back through the foot, up the leg. A lot of times I see it gets to about mid shin. That's when it'll start to jump into the fingertips. Then it starts the whole process over, up the hands, up the arm. Something it can start in the hands too, but that's the most typical progression we see. I've seen people with stuff on the side of the head. I've seen
Wow.
trunk, like the whole midsection, like they have no core strength at all. There's no feeling there. Those are more rare, but like I said, it could really happen about anywhere. So it's any nerves that leave the brain and spinal cord and go into the body can be affected through this. But
Oh, wow. So how's your dad doing now?
much better. Yeah, he's it took about I think a year to 18 months for his foot to fully come out of it, but yeah, it's been, I mean, geez, probably close to 20 years now since it happened. So
Oh, wow.
it's been a
I'm glad
while.
he has you.
Yeah.
Here, I'll come here, Dad. You need a
Yeah, he just experienced it for the first time. So he was up visiting and he did something. He tends to throw his back out if uh, he does something, kind of a
Uh-huh.
weird twist or turn, because he, like I said, he's had back issues as long as I've known him. But they moved away about a year ago now, so he hasn't been under regular care like he was when he was here. So
If I
uh,
was him, I'd just stay close to my son. I'd be like, look, hey, my pinky toes bother me today, man. Okay. Yeah, I got that. My back. Okay.
I tried to sell him on it, but they're trying to get me to start a clinic down there.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. Where's he at right now?
they went down to Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee.
So
Love Tennessee. Tennessee's pretty cool, man.
yeah, it's a beautiful
Awesome.
area.
How's the weather over there right now?
Beautiful. We've got a gorgeous day today. It's like 74 today.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I'm all like it's winter time over here. I love it cold because I can have something warm.
Yeah.
I'm weird. My wife's like, why are you wearing shorts? I go, because if I have my top, if I'm warm up top, I don't my whole body's warm. You know, no, because I'm from California, so it's like I live in Vancouver, Washington. You know, we're about to go into the cold season, and I'm just
Yeah.
enjoying it. So I just started doing it outside, which I like a lot more. I just want to be with nature,
Yeah.
um, and I feel like every time you see someone do a show, it's like, oh, they got the background all sparkly, and that's fine and everything. But it's like I'm like sick and tired of being inside. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You're like, can we just do this outside? But
Yeah.
thank you so much for talking about that beautiful machine that has helped me and is starting to help a lot of my friends and my family. And if you wouldn't mind just telling us for the listeners that are on Spotify, where they could find you, and if they need to contact you, where we would be able to do that.
Yeah. So our website is asudahealth.org. So ASUTA health.org. Same thing. Find us on Facebook, Instagram. So we've got spots for each location. So, but they all kind of come together on asudahealth.org. So that's the best way to reach out to us is through there. We can get connected. We're starting a newsletter, so there'll be a newsletter available. So lots of different ways to get information, and we're trying to put out more information on things that people can do on their own to maybe help, mitigate this issue. And then, we're always there to help people if what they're trying is not working. So, but yeah, we'd love to connect with you and see how we can help you.
Awesome. Now, those 3 locations before we go, are those really close by to each other, or are they kind of far from each other?
No, there are actually 3 different states. So, like I said, we have people driving, 2, 3, 4 hours away. So we tried to get a little bit of space between the clinics to try to shorten that drive for people.
Oh, smart.
So right now we're in Ankeny, Iowa, so right near the Des Moines area,
Yeah.
Lincoln, Nebraska, and Overland Park, Kansas, in the Kansas City area. So those are the 3
Kansas.
areas. They're all about 3 hours apart. So
Wow, that smart. I love, so there's no excuse, everyone. If you have neuropathy, not only that, guys, people come in and fly in just to see Dr. Olson. So make sure you guys call the number on the screen. And what's the number that they can dial right now for our
Five
Spotify people?
515-505-3700. So 515-505-3700. That's the best number to reach us.
Awesome. And again, thank you so much. And before we go, for someone that's on the fence that struggles with neuropathy and they've kind of given up, what's one thing that you would like to leave with them?
I would say the biggest thing is don't ever give up hope. There's constantly things coming out, newer technology, better understanding of this disease. I mean, most people 10 years ago, if you'd ask somebody what peripheral neuropathy is, most people would have no idea. But we're getting more and more information out there. I mean, right now it's estimated 20 to 30 million people suffering from this. And they think that that's maybe 50% or less of people that actually are suffering with it. So it's a much bigger issue than we think of. So if you have it, or if you even have any symptoms that sound like it could be it, get checked out. But don't stop trying things. There's, like I said, there's so many things out there to try, and there's so many things coming out every single day, new ways to do things. Just don't ever give up. Keep fighting and keep searching for answers. And there's something that is going to help you. And you just got to find the right guide to help walk you through that process.
Awesome. I love that. And so everyone out there, if you're struggling or if you know somebody, sharing is caring. Share the audio, share the video. And I love what Dr. Olson said, do not give up now. But what if my other doctor says, you know what, it's not reversible? Well, one thing I loved is that when I found out that I had glaucoma, they said that the cells in my eyes were dying out and they would never come back. What's interesting is a year later I came back and they said that my eyes were actually healing. The cells were coming back to life. So never give up. I love that. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Ole.
Hey, thank you, Mark.